Hey everybody, it's GoblinX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we have another Strixhaven Premier Draft. Been loving this format and very excited to just keep hopping back into this. I feel like this is already shaping up to be a pretty fantastic format with a lot of replayability. At the very least, with the Mystical Archives cards, every draft is going to go slightly different because there's only one of these per pack, and there's a ton of different crazy options these could be. And even without that, learns and lessons are fantastic, and all of the different colleges have their own fun synergistic ways to go. So here we have a fantastic rare multiple choice. In limited, ideally, you're always casting this for X being 4 or more to do all of the above. So for 5 mana, you get a 4/4, you get to return a creature your opponent controls back to its hand, and you get to scry one draw card. That's just absurd and really easy to cast too. It only requires 1 blue mana, so it is splashable. If you're in Lorehold, red-white, you can splash in a bit of blue. If you're in Quandrix, blue-green, you can splash in... Wait, no. I'm trying to think. Is it just going to be Lorehold that can splash this in? Let's see, blue-red. I'm getting really confused because I'm trying to see where the colors lie. So red would be red-white, Quandrix would be blue-green. Yeah, I guess it would just be Lorehold that would splash this in. Anyways. With that out of the way, it's just a really good card, and it's in mono blue, so you can end up in either Quandrix or you can end up in Prismari, so blue-green or blue-red, and have a swell time with that card. Now this pack, nothing stands out to me as quite as powerful. I think Mortality Spear is one of the best cards in this pack, and I guess we could be Witherbloom splashing a little bit of blue with Quandrix. I guess I just immediately answered my own question there. That is the other colors where the 3-color pair would connect. Green, black are connected by the blue there, so maybe Mortality Spear here, do Witherbloom with a bit of a blue splash. Seems like just a great card, fantastic removal spell, and in Witherbloom there's tons of life gain, so you can often cast this for only 2, probably the best card in the pack, although it is a bit of a restrictive mana cost. And what do we have this time around? We do have Heated Debate, a fantastic red removal spell if we want to end up in Prismari, blue-red. We have Field Trip, which is a great ramp spell in any green deck, so if we end up in Quandrix, splashing in a bit of black, or in Witherbloom, splashing in a bit of blue, we can use this to ramp us up a bit and learn, maybe grab one of the lessons that can grab an off-color mana. Arcane Subtraction would work with multiple choice, and learning is a pretty powerful effect, although this isn't incredible. It's kind of a weak combat trick, but the fact that you can learn off of this is what gives it a lot of power. I think the best cards here, probably not Tend the Pests. This is very much for a dedicated Witherbloom deck. See, I think the best cards here would be Heated Debate, maybe Field Trip. I think I'm going to just roll with a Heated Debate here. See if maybe we can end up in just the blue-red, the Prismari. And yeah, we have some pretty great options in Prismari here. Fracture looks good at first glance for Silver Quill, but it doesn't destroy creatures, which is the most important type in Limited, so that's not that great. Karok Wrangler is good, but slow in green. And the Trudge, only really good in Witherbloom where you can gain a bunch of life, so that's where the uncommons lie. They are all off color. I think I'd prefer Elemental Summoning here, which is a great lesson to grab off of your Learn cards, or the Spectacle Mage, making your mana value 5 or greater spells cheaper. That is what Prismari tends to do. You have a lot of powerful 7 mana instants and sorceries at common and uncommon, so there are a lot of cards you can reduce the cost of with Spectacle Mage, and it's also a 2/2 flyer for 3, so just a decent little evasive creature. I think I'll take the Spectacle Mage, although Elemental Summoning is a pretty early pick as well. It is a hybrid mana lesson, so it's pretty easy to cast in multiple different color schemes. And lessons are pretty important to have when you've got good learn cards to grab them. So it looks like we're ending up Prismari here. We've got multiple great Prismari cards in this pack as well. We have the Prismari Campus for that mana fixing as well as scry in the late game. We have Quandrix Pledge Mage, which we can cast just off of the blue mana, this becoming a very big threat very quickly. Really good with cards that learn, because then you're casting the sorcery that learns and grabbing another sorcery that is a lesson, so you're casting 2 there, triggering your Magecraft twice. Elemental Masterpiece is a very solid card to ramp into with your cards like Spectacle Mage. Although I feel this is the kind of card we'll see more often than Quandrix Pledge Mage, just because this is a hybrid cost, more decks would be interested in it. I like the Campus or the Pledge Mage here. I don't love Explosive Welcome. I mean, dealing 5 to something and 3 to another will often be massive, like killing 2 of their things, but it is pretty expensive to get out. I think I prefer more just like getting the 2 4/4s and getting your own threats as like game-ending cards. Here, I'm pretty happy to take Divide by Zero. This is one of the best learn cards in the game. You get to return a spell or permanent with mana value 1 or greater to its owner's hand, so anything except a creature token, basically. You can't just kill a token with this, so it's not, like, super great, but it's still very, very good. You can, like, bounce their big 5-mana spell and slow them down a turn. You can just bounce one of their big creatures at the right time. The fact this is an instant is fantastic. You can use this, like, during their end step and learn for exactly what you want to cast on your next turn. I just really like Divide by Zero, and I'm happy to scoop it up here. The Ogar Battleseer I've heard is pretty solid, although I haven't cast it yet, but I think Divide by Zero is definitely going to be better. And definitely glad that I scooped up the Pledge Mage before the Elemental Masterpiece, because this is the kind of card that the only decks that are really going to run this are dedicated Prismari decks, as I said before, so these are the cards that we can get more often. Although, I guess for the same reasoning, we might want to take a Fractal Summoning here as well, another hybrid cost, and this is a lesson that goes into any green or blue deck, being a great one to grab in the late game. If you top deck Divide by Zero on turn like 8 or later, you would much prefer an XX than whatever kind of 5-mana 4/4 you'd get off any other lesson. So between Fractal Summoning and Elemental Masterpiece here, both being quite good, I guess I'll take Fractal Summoning. I'm hoping the cards like the Masterpiece should be wheeling more often than the hybrid lesson cards like Fractal Summoning. Everyone's going to want a few lessons, and everybody's going to be able to cast those hybrid ones easier than the rest. Now we have Pop Quiz, which is a great draw spell, instant speed draw card and learn a lesson. Or Pillar Drop Warden, which is really good in Prismari because it's a 1/5 massive blocker and it can let you recast your bigger spells. Kind of a hard choice between these two. I think these are both pretty great. I suppose we already have like Divide by Zero and Heated Debate for some spells here. Maybe we want more just big sturdy blockers. I don't know which is going to come up more often. I'll scoop up a Pop Quiz here, I guess. I am kind of trying to lean a little in on the learn and lesson stuff. Pigment Storm's a fantastic removal spell, or we have Prismari Campus for mana fixing. Mana fixing isn't incredibly important if you just end up in 2 colors, and Prismari definitely looks like it's ending up to be open enough that we can end up in just Prismari, not really splashing in anything. We don't have much removal yet. We have Divide by Zero, Heated Debate. We can take a Pigment Storm as well here. Yeah, Pigment Storm or Campus, it's pretty close between those two. I think I will agree with the auto-suggester and take the Pigment Storm. Now we have Soothsayer Adept. Would be our first 2-mana card at all, and it's pretty good for slow Prismari decks. 2-mana 1/3 to block 2/2s and such in the early game, and later on when you have the extra mana, this loots. Lets you filter your cards, try to draw into what you need. Burying Books is pretty good. Slowing your opponent down a lot. So I like these two probably as the best cards, although Introduction to Annihilation is an option as well. I'll actually take the Introduction to Annihilation. I am taking Learn cards pretty highly. We already have Divide by Zero and Pop Quiz, so I think we're going to want a lot of lessons, and I'm happy to take an Arcane Subtraction as well, another Learn card. Enthusiastic Study is not really the greatest learn card for our sort of deck. I doubt we'll end up that aggressive that we want combat tricks. We only have 2 creatures right now. So I think we'd prefer just like a campus guide, just a little 2-mana 2/1. Not that great, but when we need a specific land, we can throw it on top. And yeah, we're in the right color scheme. Prismari Campus, Elemental Masterpiece, and Explosive Welcome all in this pack. I'm going to take the Campus here, actually, because I expect that the big 7-mana Prismari spells are going to wheel more often than the dual lands, because there could be people attempting to splash into those multicolors there. So I feel like we could probably do a little better on the 7-mana spells. But yeah, we got a really late Ogier Battleseer as well. That was just... We're going to get some insane stuff wheeling in this draft, that's for sure. Here I think I like Practical Research. It's a mana cost 5 or greater spell. We draw 4 and discard 2. It's going to be great late game value. A great draw spell. We only discard 1 if we discard an instant or sorcery. Seems pretty great here. The only other stuff we'd really want out of this pack, to be honest, would be like Introduction to Prophecy, just to have more lessons, or like an Arcane Subtraction. Yeah, this is just way better than those, to the point where I'm willing to take it first pick just to confirm that we get it in our deck, even if it's more likely to wheel than those other cards. I'm feeling like maybe I should have just taken the 7 mana spell here, because this is a pack where I'm not very excited, especially by Twin Scroll Shaman, because this card only really works with Combat Tricks, which will definitely not be running in this deck. And Waterfall Aerialist again, I mean, just one toughness little flyer there that doesn't seem that exciting. Like, I think this is a pretty easy Prismari Campus. I'm happy to take a Pillar Drop Warden here, although Environmental Sciences is a pretty great lesson, grabs you a land when you need it. We've got a lot of learn going on here. Divide by Zero, Pop Quiz, Arcane Subtraction. Yeah, I guess we go with Environmental Sciences. It's completely colorless, so definitely less likely to wheel than the rest of the cards, but Pillar Drop Warden could end up good in here. Oh yeah, Urza's Rage. Well, we have one finisher now. This is a 3 mana instant speed card to do 3 to any target, so it's a fine early game removal spell, and if you make the game go really long, if you get 11 mana in order to kick this thing, actually 12 mana total, then you get to deal 10 damage to any target. It can't be countered and it can't be prevented. So this is just going to be a fun card. It's going to be great no matter what. 3 mana for 3 to any target. And if we ever do get to kick it, it will be absolutely wonderful. So a really card to see passed to us from the Mystical Archive there. Kind of like Spirit Summoning here. More lessons to pick up. Right now we have Fractal Summoning, Introduction to Annihilation, and Environmental Sciences. We don't have like a good cheap creature to grab from the lessons, so I think this seems fine. Vortex Runner, probably the next best card for our strategy, because we are going to try to make the game a bit slow, make it to our big instants and sorceries, like a kicked Urza's Rage if we can get there, so we're already trying to make the game take long enough to get to like 8 or more lands eventually. So this could be fine, just a 2-3 blocker in the early game and a bigger creature later. Yeah, maybe that's actually more important, just more like main deck creatures to cast on curve and actually have some blockers. This will be a pretty easy Elemental Masterpiece. That's definitely what my deck is missing right now, is just some more big Prismari spells, so I'll just scoop this one up and not feel so bad about it. The only thing out of here that I would like would be Environmental Sciences or Arcane Subtraction. I do think Zephyr Boots is a really strong card in any moderately aggressive deck, but I don't think we're anywhere near that. We have 5 creatures, so we're not really trying to boot up anybody. Probably not going with a negate. We do have an Elemental Masterpiece to pick up with Pillar Drop Warden now. That seems pretty fun. We already have 1 Battle Seer and it wheeled incredibly late, so if we want more, we'll get those pretty late here probably. We do have Introduction to Prophecy as well here. So Introduction or Pillar Drop Warden, I think I'd rather have the Warden. And I do like Prismari Pledge Mage, because it is a 2 mana 3/3 blocker, so just a really well-sized defender to block early aggressive creatures like Leech Fanatic or Scourge Colony. This can just block them as a 3/3 and they cannot get through at all. Happy to take that there. And I guess I can take Arcane Subtraction for another learn card. Just slows down our opponent a little bit. We don't even have to use it as a combat trick. We can just use it to stop a couple damage and learn in the early game. Probably not playing Infuriate. Almost definitely not playing Infuriate here, but it's the most likely out of all of these cards. I guess I could take Confront the Past just for collection purposes, but that would just be trying to get gems, I guess. Yeah, no, I'll take Infuriate just in case. We're going to get a million Arcane Subtractions, definitely. Ooh, another Pop Quiz as well. I actually like that better than the Arcane Subtraction, I think. Get Enthusiastic Study we're probably not playing. We're definitely not playing an Active Treason effect to just like borrow an opponent's creature. Alright, we'll just have a full playset of Arcane Subtraction. We can definitely really see how good that card is. We'll do the full evaluation here. So Prismari Pledge Mage, kind of likely to wheel. We did see one of these pretty late. Elemental Summoning, almost impossible to wheel, and we don't have one yet. That is a pretty good lesson. 5 mana for a 4/4. Yeah, I think we really want the Elemental Summoning here, and there is not much else in our colors. I will scoop that right up. Take a drink here while we're waiting on the pass. All right. Don't think we're doing much with combat tricks like Sudden Breakthrough. Maybe we could play just random early counterspells like Reject, but I kind of just like the big old Wormhole Serpent. Big old 3/5 to block stuff, and you can make it unblockable to try to end the game there. Our early game could just be a pile of arcane subtractions to try to slow our opponents down, I guess. Yeah, our curve is pretty weird. We got a lot at 3. I'll just grab a Wormhole Serpent here, I think. What on earth is this rare? 4 mana, 1/4 double strike. When it deals combat damage to a player, you may cast an instant or sorcery from your graveyard without paying its mana cost. Wow, this is hard to get in with because it's only a 1/4, but if it gets in, that's a massive effect. That's probably the coolest card in this pack. The best card might just be like a Burying Books, maybe even one of these random cards, but this is definitely the most interesting, and I'd like to try the Flame Painter out here if we can. Really interesting. If we manage to like wipe our opponent's field, that will probably be able to get in well. We have another Introduction to Annihilation. We've got the 2 mana 3/3 blocker here, the Pledge Mage. We've got the Campus. We do have double Campus already. I think I'm cool to take another 2 mana 3/3, and these actually will give our arcane subtractions a lot more value. Now all of a sudden we might be able to like kill one of their 3/3s if they attack in against this, and we just like shut down its power. Another Fractal Summoning actually seems pretty good here. We've only got the one big late game lesson, and we have a lot of Learn. We already have 2 Pop Quiz. I don't know about the third when we have other Learn cards like Divide by Zero and stuff. Yeah, I think I like grabbing another Fractal Summoning for this deck. Another Prismari Campus, another Battle Seer, a Serpentine Curve. I think I like the Campus or the Battle Seer, and with double Campus, kind of interested in another Battle Seer here. By the time you have 5 mana, scrying any lands away is pretty much equivalent to drawing a card, so that's nice. And any time that you can lock down the board state, you can start sending in with this. So it seems okay. Still haven't actually cast the thing yet, so I don't know. Could grab a third Fractal Summoning or a big old Creative Outburst. I think I just want the big old Outburst. Really fun card, 5 damage to any target, and then grab another good card out of your top 5. Just take the Spirit Summoning here, get some more lessons for all our Learn cards. And now we're just taking stuff we aren't playing, so I'll just take stuff I don't own here. Yeah, I think we're just going to keep taking the the Mystical Archive cards that we're probably not playing. Could take Burying Books and actually run it here. Yeah, we don't have a single copy yet. I could definitely see running a one of in here. If you ever want to see how many of each card you own during the draft, just hold down the Alt key and it'll give you a check mark if you own a full playset. Otherwise, it'll tell you what number out of 4. We actually might be mildly interested in the 1 mana 0/4 Walls, so that was probably a bit of a different pick than what I went with. I think I just went with the highest rarity card for vault purposes. But I could see a world where we just want 1 mana 0/1s in here, or 0/4s. Probably not. But it's possible. I think this Pledge Mage does look really good with the cards like Pop Quiz, but we did get only the one Pledge Mage, so I'm glad that we scooped that up when we did. Again, because it did get drafted pretty highly, or nobody opened them up. Okay, so this is a 5 mana card here, this multiple choice. We're always going to cast this as a solid 5 mana 4/4. We need to cut 4 cards, just cut the playset of Arcane Subtraction and call it a day. That's a possibility. We have Divide by Zero and 3 Pop Quiz. That's 4 Learn cards already. Heated Debate and Urza's Rage is good removal. Burying Books and Pigment Storm the same. Practical Research for late game draw. Multiple Choice is just a great, great 5 mana 4/4. We've got the big 7 mana spells. Yeah, I mean, Arcane Subtraction is really just at its best when you're like, when you're winning at combat with it, which I don't think we're doing super often here. Pretty low creature count, I think. Yeah, just 11 here. But it can slow people down as well, just shut off their power. while we draw some lessons to cast. Yeah, I'm going to keep like one in here, at least, just to try it out, see how well it does. I could see like cutting maybe even a campus guide here, cut a pop quiz, 3 subtraction, and cut like 1 campus guide for another land. I do think this could definitely be an 18 land deck. We have a lot of learning for lessons, and we can get some high mana value lessons. We can get those 5 mana 4/4s, and we can get the big old fractal summonings. The 5 mana removal spell of Introduction to Annihilation. We've got 2 7 mana spells. We have double campus to scry us out of Flood. We have double Ogier Battleseer to try to scry us out of Flood. I think this could definitely be an 18 land deck instead of the campus guide here. Although campus guide sort of just draws us a land anyway, so as long as we have 2 mana, it's kind of just our 18th land. I just had like a 2 mana 2/1 though. It's just so minuscule. Maybe even cut like a Wormhole Serpent. I'm really not certain here. But yeah, like Campus Guide, like a 2/1, all it's doing in this deck is just blocking 1 time. Maybe trading if we're lucky. I'm just going to get rid of it. We're going to go 18 lands here. This is probably just like a dumb mental exercise, but for me, I really hate when I play a card like Campus Guide and then I know I'm just drawing a land next turn because it feels like I've kind of like just walled off my next draw. My next draw is just a land. Like you don't actually get any value off of that. It's just a 2/1 where you get to know what you're drawing next. It's not like a 2/1 that draws the land from your deck to your hand immediately. So you are spending a draw step to get that land in a way. 17 blue cards, 13 red. But we do have Pigment Storm needing double red. We do have Quandrix Pledge Mage needing double blue, though. We've got a lot of like Learn in blue, and the Learn can grab Environmental Sciences in the early game. Yeah, I'll go up on an island here rather than making an even split. And here is our Prismari deck this time around. See how well this pile pans out in gameplay. Here we are in round 1. We've got that great 5 mana card and a pretty good curve. 2 mana Pledge Mage, 3 mana Spectacle Mage. We just kind of go here. Opponent starts with a Star Pupil, but a big old 3/3 is going to be a solid blocker for that. And a Guiding Voice to get a counter on it, making it a 2/2, so when it dies, it does move all of those counters onto something else. Pretty solid combo. They also learn off of that. Grabbing their Inkling Summoning, so now when that Star Pupil dies, they can move it onto the Inkling Summoning, make a big old flyer that way, potentially. We have 3 mana here. We can hold for a Pop Quiz to try to make sure we draw our 4th land. I kind of like that because we have Divide by 0 as well. Yeah, I think we have just great things to do during their turn, so I'd rather do that than drop down a Spectacle Mage, although I think Spectacle Mage would make multiple choice a little cheaper because the mana value is however much you put into it when you cast it now. They changed the rules on that a while ago, which is kind of weird. Could just slow them down with a Divide by 0 if I really want. I think I'd rather Pop Quiz here. Alright, we did hit the 4th mana. 1 mana away from an Elemental Summoning, so that seems solid. Environmental Sciences, make sure I get 5 for multiple choice. If I spend just 2 mana for something like Environmental Sciences, I can hold up an Arcane Subtraction as well. That could be okay. I think I just like taking the elemental summoning. Drop this down tapped, drop our bird out, or hold up divide by 0. And then we cast multiple choice next turn. I'm going to hold up the divide by 0 here. Combat Professor. Yeah, we'll just toss that back in hand, slow them down again here. Now we just grab a big old fractal summoning for after we start dropping elementals. Here we drop our multiple choice for 4. Scry that to the bottom and draw. Choose a player, they return a creature they control to its owner's hand. Okay, so we choose them, they have to put something back in hand, which either way gives us good value. We get rid of one of the counters on Star Pupil and make them recast it, or we just kill the Inkling. Yeah, multiple choice was really good there. They do drop down the Combat Professor now, but we get to stay aggressive here. We even have a Burying Books to cast now to kill something if we want, but I think I just stay aggressive. I kind of like casting Elemental Summoning. I only have 1 mana up after that, though, so that's the only thing I cast this turn if that's the plan. Yeah, I definitely like casting an instant or sorcery pre-combat here so I can send both in. Seems pretty great. They're down to 10 now. Another Combat Professors to play for turns. They are trying to race Burying Books and Arcane Subtraction, going to be huge here to slow them down. So, do I Burying Books right now? No, I only have 1 mana up if I do that. I really want to attack him with the Pledge Mage, but at this point I think I just attack him with the 4/4s so that I can hold up both Arcane Subtraction and Burying Books. Put them down to 2 now, so they're trying to like get in lethal here for sure. These spells are going to be massive. Stack up the power, give vigilance. They send in the squad. I'm going to subtract one of the 3 power creatures here to stop that damage. They have an instant here in their Silver Quill deck. They've got 4 mana up. See what this is. Kind of like grabbing Introduction to Annihilation, because I just need to crack in for 2, so I only need 1 of my creatures to get through, so grabbing a removal spell seems good. Because I can Burying Books on a Combat Professor to get 1 blocker out of the way, then I get another blocker out of the way on my turn with Introduction to Annihilation. They are going to scoop him up there, so I'm pretty sure that would have been good enough. They then only have 1 Combat Professor untapped as a blocker. We have 3 attackers next turn. We just Introduction to Annihilation one of the blockers and send in with 3 creatures. Anyone hits them and they are out of that. Wow, well, the learning and the lessons definitely went really well there. We just had an insane amount of cards there pushing in on them. So I'm going to double check our board here because Arcane Subtraction actually put in some work. So maybe there's some choices we can make here, but I think everything in this deck is a good card. It's just a question of what cards work better at like the right times. I don't know, maybe we get rid of a Wormhole Serpent for something. But then we're just getting rid of a Wormhole Serpent for another Arcane Subtraction, or just a Campus Guide. Still like the 18 lands thing, because as you saw with that game, all of the learning and lessons that we did want just 1 million mana to be able to cast all of our cards. You know, we've just got all these learns and lessons. It's like, I can't even hold all these. We'll just run it back. Very successful game one, though. Alright, we are now in round 2. 1-0. We don't have any plays till turn 3 with this, but we get to start with a Quandrix Pledge Mage, which should prompt removal from our opponent as quickly as possible. Otherwise, that will become a massive threat throughout this game. We are playing against another Prismari deck. We'll start off with our Quandrix Pledge Mage. See if anything happens to it. Spectacle Mage is the play from our opponent, so it survives for now. Is Divide by 0, return target spell or permanent with mana value 1 or greater to its owner's hand. So if they try to trade there, we could bounce it and then learn, but we can't win the trade with like an instant here. Alright, cool. We just get the damage in. So we get to chip in for that damage and drop our Flame Painter. Doesn't do much, but I think it's better than just holding Divide by 0. Not 100% sure. It probably is, though. Because it's going to do a lot, actually, after we learn some stuff. Because then we have the Learn card in our grave. We have a bunch of lessons in grave. Yeah, this could be pretty phenomenal if this ever gets in. And with a Divide by 0 as our play next turn, that'll help it get in. So we could bounce one of their things, and then hit them and then bounce another thing. Learn each time. That could be phenomenal if this gets to hit them one time. They are going to hit us with the Spectacle Mage, putting us down to 18. If they tap out here, I'm in for a super fun turn, unless they tap down the Flame Painter there, which seems likely. If they tap down the Pledge Mage, I'll be super fine here. Alright. They tap down the Flame Painter. Well, I can still divide something by 0 to get in for a lot of damage here. Maybe I would rather bury in books. I can also just play a Battle Seer and attack in with that as a 3/4. I don't love dividing a creature with a great enter the battlefield effect like Frost Trickster, but it would get counters on the Pledge Mage, so the Pledge Mage can start swinging in. Well, we could get a 2-mana lesson and cast it this turn, so we could just grab the one that grabs a land. It's not super powerful right now, but it's good enough with like Flame Painter going off. I don't know, I think we just drop Battle Seer and Slam. We go for our big play next turn if the Flame Painter gets to attack. I am not going to offer the trade with the Pledge Mage this time around because we have like Divide by 0 to learn, grab lessons. We have Flame Painter being able to recast things. We can potentially really go off with Magecraft and get a million counters on this Pledge Mage. So it's probably more valuable than their Frost Trickster is now that that's hit the board. Well, they do have 3 mana up here, so they could respond with some options. But I feel like a Divide by 0 is going to be pretty good pre-combat here on the Spectacle Mage to be able to send in with all 3 of these and anything they block with dies. Because they just have the 1/2/2 blocker up. Whirlwind Denial. Counter it unless we pay 4. I do still get my Magecraft off with that, and I only have 3 mana up, so I guess that does resolve here. They could double block... Wait, we still cast that. Even if it gets countered, we technically put it on the stack and cast it, right? I guess not. I guess Quandrix Magecraft only triggers when something resolves. Interesting, I didn't know that. I have to double block Flame Painter, but if they do, that's bad for us. Yeah, we just don't have a cheap enough instant to screw around with them now. Could attack with the Battle Seer and trade 1 for 1. Yeah, I don't like our attacks if they have the Whirlwind Denial, then I think we can just scry with the Battle Seer. We have pretty good attacks if we have all the mana up for Burying Books. Pigment Storm on the Ifrit, so they kill that. Alright. Fair enough, we don't get to do our super fun little combos. Scry 1. Prismari Pledge Mage actually doesn't seem awesome right now. We need a lot of instants and sorceries if we want to keep attacking with that, and their entire field has flying, so it's not going to block well. Yeah, I'll throw that away. Elemental Masterpiece. We are 1 mana off from that. We have 6 right now. Kind of like burying the Spectacle Mage so that we can get in for 3 damage here, but we can also bury something in response to blocks and really get them. I think we'll do that. We attack in. If they don't block, we can even just cast the Wormhole Serpent instead. Alright, just hit for 5 then. There's their own Battle Seer. Pretty good blocker on the ground. Nice 3/4 body. We draw another Battle Seer now. Could bury their Battle Seer. And then just attack all 3. They can double block the Pledge Mage to kill it, but if they do that, they take 6. Does push in pretty well. Yeah, and then the Wormhole Serpent does get pretty close to lethal pretty quickly, being able to be unblockable there. It's 1 damage off from lethal, 1 attack from that. So if they double block, they take 6 and lose 1 creature. I do think the all attack is worth it here. I would rather kill the Frost Trickster because I'm more okay with bouncing something like Spectacle Mage because it doesn't have a good enter the battlefield effect. Although we could also kill Spectacle Mage to make their 5 mana or greater spells more expensive, but they only have 6 mana here, so they're very unlikely to get any value from making 5 or less cheaper. Unless they have the second Spectacle Mage, then they could cast a second Spectacle Mage and a 5 mana spell. Just a Tome Shredder here. So we do get to attack with an unblockable Wormhole Serpent 2 turns in a row, and hopefully that gets us there. We can also Pigment Storm on a Spectacle Mage, and that hits for 3 damage. They go to 1. We attack with both. They have to block. Yep, that forces bad chumps for them, so I like the Pigment Storm here. Like, we could just put them to 1 by attacking with Wormhole Serpent, but then they don't lose any creatures, and here they have to lose all of their creatures, and we don't lose anything on board. And this puts them dead to a Wormhole Serpent attack next turn as well. We also have a haste creature to drop out next turn, which is pretty good. Pop quiz, drawing a card, learning a lesson. Searching for something here for sure. Expanded Anatomy is the lesson of choice, and the concession follows it up. So that puts us to 2-0 with our Prismari deck here. Pretty solid stuff from this deck so far. Definitely happy with the Ogier Battle Seers. That card did not look all that good at first glance, but after playing with it a little bit, it's solid. I mean, it's just a big enough creature for the mana cost to block well and sometimes attack in well, and that scry ability when it can't is pretty solid. Okay, we are in round 3, 2-0 thus far with a pretty great hand here. It is a little risky. Our curve basically starts out on turn 3. We have an Urza's Rage to kill something, but we have a great late game here, multiple choice into this Elemental Masterpiece eventually. If push comes to shove and we just are not drawing lands, we can cycle the Masterpiece to help get the mana to cast multiple choice on turn 5, but it certainly looks like a great hand regardless of the speed at which it goes off here. Our opponent is on Quandrix, green and blue here, and they start with a Scurrid Colony. We're likely to Urza's Rage something pretty early in this game just to keep us alive long enough to cast all our late game cards, although a Scurrid Colony is really not that great. I think I'd rather kill what they cast here if they cast like a 3-mana creature. If they don't follow it up with anything, then that's a bit rough. So they play a Biomathematician, that's just a 2-2 with no effects. Yeah, I'll be taking 5 damage next turn if I don't kill something now. I like killing something now, and then if we draw a 4 mana or less card, we can just play that next turn. We just want to slow them down a little here. We have more than enough to come back in the late game. Could multiple choice for 3 and just make a 4-4 here. But the value is so big on this card. I guess they get to bounce whatever creature they choose. They could bounce a Biomathematician, which is pretty bad for us. Actually, that would have made Urza's Rage on Biomathematician the better play there. So if we do this for 4, we get to scry 1 and draw a card, and they get to bounce a thing, so they just bounce Biomathematician, and we scry 1, draw a card. All in all, actually, I think just making a 4-4 is a little better here. Just getting that blocker out immediately. Because now next turn we can just start dropping our 5-mana Battleseers. All in all, I think that actually works out a little better than like killing Biomathematician and waiting till turn 5 would have, because now we're playing cards more consistently, just dumping something out every turn here. And we actually get to be on the aggressive instead now, just really turn things around. And if we hit 7 mana, we've got some massive spells, clearly, but the Quandrix deck is likely to have some massive stuff coming up eventually as well. Another Biomathematician is pretty big here, making another Fractal and making them both get a +1/+1 counter. We are 1 mana away from these 7 mana spells now. Needlethorn Drake is going to get to kill our 4-4 if we attack in. We have enough creatures, we could probably just trade into that, but I can also Creative Outburst to kill that if we hit 1 more mana. So if I cast a Battleseer here, we just get to scry 2 cards looking for a basic land. We have like okay attacks if we attack all 3. They kill the 4-4, and then these, they can only chump block or take it. And they crack back for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 at most. I feel like these 7 mana cards like super close out this game if we get there, so I can just hold off and make sure we get the scries off these to make sure we get those 7 mana spells coming out. Scry 1. Not a land. Scry 1. And that is a land. We'll keep that one. They could have a counterspell here. That would be a sad time for us, but otherwise we're in a great shape by resolving some of these spells. Do I want to Creative Outburst first or Elemental Masterpiece? If I Creative Outburst, I can do it during their end step. But if I do it right now, I do get to attack in, I think. Well, they kind of do have like a lot of 2/2s. If I kill their 1 Death Toucher, the 3/4s don't attack in super well because they can double block with 2 2/2s and they lose a 2/2 and I lose a 3/4. But the 4/4 could attack in fine. Maybe we just cast Masterpiece this turn and then Outburst next turn. And then we can just slam and attack all. That seems solid to me. Definitely hoping for the no counterspells here. Decisive Denial. Really fantastic limited card. It's both a fight spell and a counterspell. So it's like really exceptionally well posed against Prismari, because Prismari are the kind of decks that are going to be running out 7 mana spells and not having the extra mana to make them uncounterable. Zephyr Boots here as well? Oh god. Might just be getting flown over here. Take 5 in the sky, nothing we can do about that. Down to 9. Definitely going to scry during their end step. See what we might hit here. We could also try to creative outburst their face, I guess, if we get them to 5 life, but that seems like a really unlikely possibility because we have to hit them for 8. Oh, they draw into the Frost Trickster 2 to slow us down. Alright, Frost down our 4/4, we'll just get to scrying. Heated Debate's pretty great. I think we do keep that. Can't afford to cast Creative Outburst and Heated Debates. They do have no cards in hand, no mana up here, so we know that Creative Outburst resolves right now if we want to do that, but now I only have 2 blockers and I'm at 9 life. So I can block these 2, and I take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have exact lethal on board if we don't do like a Heated Debate. I think we pass turn and try to get them on attacks, because if they see that they have lethal on board, they'll probably attack all, and if they attack all, I can eat multiple of their creatures here. Alright, they don't want to play into it, so they just send in the flyers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They aren't presenting lethal here, but I think I still go for the Creative Outburst to kill. What, like Frost Trickster? I mean, I guess because they're not presenting lethal, we could try to crack in for lethal somehow. It seems really unlikely, though. They're at 13. If we hit them for 8, though, that's enough. We could Heated Debate to kill one of these Biomathematicians. Yeah, no, we just need a million removal spells to kill all these flyers, and that's just not something that we have. Well, Creative Outburst, because it draws a card when we cast it, and it's going to be definitely more possible that we actually can cast 2 spells if we hold the 3 mana spell next turn. Divide by 0 is good here. Probably the best we've got. We're down to 3 now. They have a lot of flying power on the board. Okay. They've drawn into a 21-21. So we need chump blocks. Let's get some scries off here. Definitely not an island. Wormhole Serpent's not good here either. Let's see what we hit instead. It is a land. It's actually fine when we get to learn here. Block, 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 bounce a thing, shoot a thing. I do not think we're getting here this game. This Quandrix deck has really gone off after the really good stabilization. Just multiples of Biomathematician are very good. Obviously the Needlethorn Drake helping a ton, making our attacks in pretty bad. We can't really attack it and survive because we're down to 3. If I want to play a lesson off Divide by 0, what could I play? The 5 mana exile spell, or just like a gain 2, or just 1 blocker. None of it gives us a flyer or anything, so we can just hold off till their turn and cast everything we have during their turn. Unfortunately, Divide by 0 cannot kill the 21-21 because it can't bounce creature tokens, can't bounce 0 mana cards. Oh yeah, and they could just give it flying. I don't know why that took me so long to see that. Could have conceded a while ago there. Well, looks like the slow start, it did end up mattering quite a bit. with a more aggressive start, we might have been able to try to push them down to 5 at any point off of an Alpha Strike at the end for the creative outburst to just go to face. But definitely they stabilized real hard there with a ton of blockers. Keep this. I have Arcane Subtraction if nothing else, which can learn, so we can discard a card, draw a card, or we can grab our Lesson that grabs lands. We also have Multiple Choice, which can draw a card even if we don't do anything else with it. We definitely have the ways out of the Mana Screw pretty easily here. We also just drew Creative Outburst, which can give us a treasure token if we need that. We are against Silver Quill here, so black-white it is. So I could cast Arcane Subtraction right now so that I know next turn I can just grab a land no matter what. Could also cycle Creative Outburst right now. So I have a treasure token no matter what, so I can cast Pop Quiz if I don't hit a land. And if I do hit a land, I can just hold on to the treasure token for later to make multiple choice cheaper. I like cycling the outburst here, I think. Prismari Pledge Mage. Just a 3/3 to hold them off here. It's probably more important to get to our higher mana costs. And I probably Pop Quiz during our main phase. So if we draw land this turn and next turn, we can play them both. We did draw land. I think I still like Environmental Sciences here, though. So we do want a lot more lands than just this one. And now next turn we can cast Environmental Sciences and Prismari Pledge Mage, and that makes it so we know we have multiple choice on turn 5 for the full value. Alright. I like grabbing another red source off of this, so we have double red. We could also play a Pledge Mage and just hold on to Arcane Subtraction, but that doesn't really make any sense. I guess we get to not take damage from the flyer there, but we can also do that by just gaining 2 life. Yeah, this seems fine to me. Promising Dusk Mage. They've got just a 2/3 out now. Not that crazy. That seems fine. Take 2 in the sky. And we'll just cast our multiple choice for 4 here. Which seems great. They probably throw Dusk Mage back in their hand. That, or we just kill one of their tokens. Could just kill the Pest token here, we'll see. Don't want any more lands now, I think. Just scry that to the bottom and draw a card. Grab a Vortex Runner. Have them bounce something. When we kill the Pest token, that means we do get an attack in with the Pledge Mage. And they have a Lash of Malice or something here. Ooh, they actually have a combat trick that does save the Dusk Mage. The Professor's Warning. Put a +1/+1 counter on the creature. Pretty solid there. Definitely was not expecting the 1 mana instant combat trick there in black. That does put a counter on the Dusk Mage as well, so now it draws a card when it dies. So we have 6 mana now. We could Pop Quiz and Urza's Rage, so we can like kill their flyer. Draw some more cards. We can hold up Arcane Subtraction here. Kind of like playing Vortex Runner and holding up either of these 3 instants to choose from. Because now if they attack with like the Witherbloom Pledge Mage, we could make a good double block with an Arcane Subtraction. If they only attack with the flyer, we could just kill the flyer with Urza's Rage. And if we want, we can just Pop Quiz if they don't play into anything we have. Pilgrim of the Ages draws a Plains, drops a Guiding Voice onto the Promising Dusk Mage to make it a 4/5 here. I mean, they are fully going to draw a card off that thing because they do have +1/+1 counters on it. And another Inkling summoning from the side here, giving them more flying threats. Definitely not good for us. I would much rather kill the Witherbloom Pledge Mage than the Dusk Mage, because they don't draw a card from the Pledge Mage, and the Pledge Mage is slightly bigger, so we'll send the double block there. If they're going to do something to save the Pledge Mage, they'll probably do it here. And then we'll know whether or not Arcane Subtraction is any good. Lash of Malice. Resolve that. Makes it a 7/3. We can make it only 3 power. By making it 3 power, the Arcane Subtraction does not quite save all our creatures, because at 3 power it still kills Vortex Runner. We could just Urza's Rage it instead, but then we don't have Urza's Rage to deal with any flyers anymore. If I Arcane Subtraction, I'm trading Vortex Runner into the Pledge Mage. I feel like I need ways to block these flyers, so I don't want to Urza's Rage here. Although I could. Oops. I hate how that goes literally right where I was clicking, so when I double click, it's like, alright, there you go. I guess we have Introduction to Annihilation here. May have been what we chose to take anyway. We can hold on to Urza's Rage and Pop Quiz here. Shoot the flyer. Draw a card. I do like exiling the Dusk Mage at some point, but I don't know if we want to do it right now. They're at 22 here. We could attack. Could just attack in and then just like take 6. We get a 5. That seems not great. I think we're just passing again, most likely. Yeah, we are incredibly likely to Urza's Rage, so I'm actually just going to pop Quiz main phase in case we draw land. We draw a Freet Flame Painter. Now we grab just a 4/4 here, I guess. Yeah, seems better than the XXs at this point in the game, because I'm not going to drop a 3/2 out right now. I'm going to hold on to Urza's Rage. Well, if they're out of combat tricks, we can do a 1-for-1 trade of our 4/4 into their Dusk Mage. But if we take that trade, they do draw a card, which is not great, but we've got more 4/4s coming up. I think we've got the value over the course of the long game. We just need to stop the damage we can, get their creatures out the board now, if possible. I mean, yeah, we've got like Flame Painter, we've got Practical Research. We definitely have the cards to get there over a long game. We just need to survive long enough. Hunt for specimens from our opponents. They do learn from that. Hopefully they don't have 3 Inkling summonings. Alright, good. They just have a Spirit summoning that time. That would have been very bad for us if they had another flyer here. Now we can Introduction to Annihilation to get their only flying creature out of here. Get their last one out of here. If we Practical Research, we don't get to cast anything else. We're only taking 2 damage a turn because we're only getting hit by the flyers now. I have 7 mana. I can only cast 1 spell here, so I have to make my choice wisely between all these spells. Our 2/3 blocks on the ground well enough that we don't need to immediately play another blocker. I think we go for a Practical Research here, probably. Though I am actually going to play this land anyway, even though I'm about to make myself discard some cards with this Practical Research. And the reason is we have so many like expensive spells here that being able to cast one of these alongside a 2 or 3 mana spell would be pretty important. So I think we need all the mana we can get. We can afford to discard like an actual card at this point to be able to double spell. We just need to get our momentum back in. Do I have anything for 2 mana that would deal with that? Because that would mean I should pop that right now. No, 3 mana, Heated Debate would be the cheapest. So we have nothing that'll immediately deal with it, so we'll just take it for now. We're also only 1 land away from Vortex Runner being a 3/3 unblockable, which is cool, but not super great in this game right now. We're definitely on the defensive. Crushing Disappointment. Each player loses 2, they get to draw 2 cards. It's pretty bad for us right now. The 2 life is much more painful for us than them at this point. And a Spirit Summoning, sure. More ground creatures here. Practical Research, what shall we find? Well, we have Heated Debate and Bury in Books now, so I like burying that flyer in books. I also like holding on to the Heated Debate as a cheap instant speed removal spell. Do we actually just get rid of Introduction to Annihilation now that we have like a sorcery removal spell that doesn't draw them a card? I think we actually do. I like just discarding the 1 card there because, again, I like having as much mana as possible here. Now I have 3 mana for Heated Debate, 3 mana for Bury in Books. I even have enough mana to bury it even if it doesn't attack. If it does attack, we can cast both of these for only 6 mana, so if we had a 2 mana spell, we could cast it here, but we don't, so I think we have to pass. We block the 2/1, kill the 3/2, throw that on top, take 1 damage, basically. I probably... Yeah, I have a Pigment Storm backup as well, so I think I need to survive from, like, hexproof pumps. So we'll just kill them right now. While they're completely tapped out. There is a white hexproof spell in the set. Spectre of the Fens and Killian. So that is disastrous for me. Another flying threat and a vigilant, or not a vigilant, a menace, a lifelinking threat. So I need 2 blockers and I need to kill the Spectre. We've got 8 mana here. We do have 9 mana. So I do have enough to play a blocker and kill the flyer. The flyer is more important to kill because we don't have anything that can block it, and it has an ability to drain us some life every turn. Now we have 2 blockers to potentially block Killian. Guiding Voice puts a counter on Killian, which is not a good time for us. We do have enough mana to cast Wormhole Serpent and give Flame Painter unblockable, which will be a huge swing if we can get that going. Uh-oh. This pretty much just means they have a pump spell to kill us right now, doesn't it? Is this the best block we have, or is it the double block on Killian? Either way, we stop just as much damage. This makes their board less wide, so I think it's better overall. Yeah, if they have like the pump spell to kill us, it's going to kill us either way. And by making their board less wide, we can afford to send Flame Painter in more likely, because if Flame Painter does hit them, we get to just kill Killian with a removal spell. We're down to 4 now. Maybe it's a life loss spell or something? I wonder. It's the Spirit Summoning, and that's it for now? I'm gonna go for the Wormhole Serpent combo here, and really hope it goes off, because then cast 2 spells from our grave for free. Kill both their blockers. Or both their attackers, more importantly. Creative Outburst for free. Kill Killian and draw a card. Oh my god. Draw Elemental Mastery. Elemental Masterpiece, I should say. The second damage goes in. I'd rather cast Urza's Rage or Heated Debate for free, because these can kill small creatures. Actually, I think Bury in Books, because it can kill a token. Save the damage-based removal for the other stuff. Tainted Pact. Exile the top card of your library. You may put it into your hand unless it has the same name as another card exiled this way. Repeat it until they choose to stop or something? Yeah, they chose to stop on just like the Biblioplex here. Okay. Yeah, this is just the big text box on this it's Mystical Archives card. So it's some sort of black draw spell, and they just chose to draw into the Biblioplex here, which can draw cards off the top if they run out of cards in hand, and they have instants or sorceries on top. Alright, Deadly Vanity. Go for the board wipe here. Wait, what? Choose a creature, planeswalker, destroy the rest. Okay, so we get to keep Vortex Runner. We still drew a bunch of cards here. I think we attack in. Drop our Elemental Masterpiece here. We only have 3 mana up after that. That's enough to cast Pledge Mage into Masterpiece, so we'll do that. Get as much power toughness on this board as possible. We already got hit by 1 board wipe, so I would not be expecting a second, but we'll see. Stonebinder's Familiar is the play. They bring Pilgrim of Ages back to hand without the mana to play it. We can play a haste creature here, just slam in with everybody. And then we could play 1 blocker here. Yeah, that's only a 1/1, so it's very safe. Even if they have a removal spell for a blocker, it would be... Oh, I should have played that pre-combat to get 1 more damage in with Pledge Mage. My bad there. But, yeah, even if they have a removal spell, it would just be for 1 damage on me with that dog. They have a 2/2 and they have a Pilgrim. They have Biblioplex they can try for here. See what they draw off of that. Although they don't have the mana to cast much, just a Swamp, so they toss that in the grave. And that is the concession, the full stabilization from the Prismari deck. I did not think it was possible there, but that Stormcaller Efreet thing, allowing us to cast a Creative Outburst and another removal spell for free off of hitting them 1 time was absolutely insane. So that looks like we are 3-1 now heading into round 5. Really crazy end to that game. I did not expect that at all. So here we are in the next round. We don't do anything until a Pop Quiz, but Pop Quiz can draw us a nice 3 or 4 mana creature to get the ball rolling. Pretty slow hand, but it's all our colors with some good late game draw. It's the kind of stuff our deck's trying to do, so I'm going to go for it here. Heated Debate is drawn as well. Great early game removal spell if our opponent tries to play fast here. Just going to use this Pop Quiz at instant speed since I already played my land for turn. Alright, Pop Quiz in the end step. We do hit another land, so we definitely don't want Environmental Sciences. We have the 4 mana Pillar Drop Warden. Do I just want the 5 mana 4/4? So I play Pillar Drop Warden next turn, followed by the Elemental Summoning turn 5. Seems solid to me, although I do have Practical Research for turn 5 as well. That might be the play. Probably rather just get some creatures on this board if our opponent isn't casting anything yet. Ooh, and we draw that 7 mana Elemental Masterpiece with 6 lands already, so we're pretty likely to get to that. Quandrix Cultivator, a 3/4 that grabs a forest or island, puts it into play, and then shuffles. So it ramps them up. No reason to kill that, it's already accomplished its job, so I think we just drop our 4/4 or we draw some cards here. We already have the turn 7 play, we already have 1 good removal spell. I don't think we need to draw cards right now, we can do this once we've run out of gas. I think we just get a 4/4 on this board. Get something out here. See what they're following it up with. Definitely expect to start seeing some big spells from the Quandrix deck. The Quandrix deck is absolutely terrifying once they hit their 6 mana. But so is the Prismari deck, potentially, once they've hit 7. We do have all 7 lands now. I can afford to cast a Pledge Mage and hold up a Practical Research or a Heated Debate. Pretty sure I'll be casting a Heated Debate on their Pledge Mage here. Do I just go for that right now so that I can attack in with the 4/4 freely? If they have any sort of instant, it's likely to be like a pump spell anyway, so the Cultivator would kill the 4/4. I think I like just attacking in with the 4/4 and then shooting at the Pledge Mage in the end step or potentially in response to blocks. They just block with Cultivator. Let's see what the pump spell is if they have one. Big play. +2/+2 to that, and then a permanent +1/+1 counter. So that's going to be a 4/5 if I don't shoot it right now, but then if I shoot it right now, I don't have the removal for the Pledge Mage, which is a 3/3 right now that can get bigger over time. I can kill the immediate 4/5, or I can kill the 3/3 that gets bigger. I think I'd rather kill the immediate 4/5 because also by killing the 4/5, I keep my 4/4 on the board. Seems pretty important. You have 1 mana up still, so if they have some kind of Mystical Archives 1 green mana card, it will just get us, but we can't really play around a card that is very rare to show up in a pack. There's no... Well, there aren't many 1 green mana pump spells that would get played in a Quandrix deck that aren't just in the Mystical Archives like Snakeskin Veil. Well, that's absolutely brutal. But I think the only 1 green mana pump spell I can think of is an uncommon. That is +2/+2, because it's like you gain 2 life, then give something +2/+2, and that's much more of a Witherbloom card than a Quandrix card, so I wasn't expecting that. So the only thing they could have had for 1 mana would have been the Snakeskin Veil, and being a Mystical Archives card, it's rare enough that I didn't feel that it was important to play around that. But of course, sometimes you can just get got like that, and that line of play probably just cost us the game here. We now lose our Heated Debate and our 4/4 without getting anything out of it, and they have 10 power on the board to attack in. They get our 1 blocker, our 1 good blocker out of the way. Just hit us for 10 every turn. It's looking pretty nasty. If they have a negate here, it's over. Otherwise, we can try for some double blocks, but it's looking pretty bad for the Prismari deck. Frost Trickster shuts off 4/4. We can still make 1 double block here, but we take 5 and go to 5 life. If they send in, I would rather kill the Pledge Mage than the 5/6, because that can be like a 6/6 and better later. If they have another pump spell or trick here, we are firmly gone. Looks like nothing yet. We might get to keep this 4/4. Nope. Ether Helix to kill one of them and bring the Pledge Mage back, but I guess the Pledge Mage is only a 2/2 now until they draw more instants and sorceries. We can cast a Spectacle Mage, and then I have 4 mana up, which is enough to cast a Practical Research. If I cast Spectacle Mage, I trade that with the Frost Trickster, draw some cards here. Pillar Drop Warden blocks Frost Trickster, blocks everything except Cultivator well. So if I might play, I think I play Spectacle Mage and Pillar Drop Warden here instead of Practical Research. Because then I double block the Cultivator with a 4/4 and a 2/2. One of these survives, and this 1/5 blocks anything else they have. So if they just play just their Cultivator here, not their Cultivator, their Quandrix Pledge Mage here, we could stabilize off of casting Practical Research next turn. See, now this I'm all kinds of shook about. I don't know what this is all about here. We'll see. It is just the trades. Just to keep pressing in here. Symmetry Sage? Alright. We have a chance. Arcane Subtraction makes next turn really safe as well. I'd rather draw right now in case I draw into something cheap and powerful to cast during my turn. It can happen. Would I rather discard this Pop Quiz or discard like an Island and a Wormhole Serpent? think I'm definitely casting an Arcane Subtraction. I think I like discarding Island Wormhole Serpent. I like the Battle Seer better, so we can scry, and it's just as good of a blocker. Just doesn't like hit them well. We have Pillar Drop Warden to try to close this game out. Pick up an Elemental Masterpiece again later. Yeah, I like going Island Serpent to get discarded here, because now we can pop quiz if they don't make an attack that makes Arcane Subtraction any good. Like if they just pass turn here, now we get to pop quiz instead of doing nothing here, which is great. Drawn to an Urza's Rage, that's absolutely massive. I like hitting a Fractal Summoning, although an Introduction to Annihilation would be pretty safe, so we can deal with flyers even if they get rid of our flying blocker. Yeah, I probably wouldn't be casting a Fractal Summoning for a while anyway. It will just be safe to them killing a flyer here. 5, 6, 7, 8 mana. We are 4 mana away from kicking an Urza's Rage. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but we can use this to kill their only flying attacker. I like playing the Battle Seer here. We get to hold up Urza's Rage and Arcane Subtraction, so it's pretty safe to just dump that out. Maybe even attack with that instead of scrying with it, because they don't have good blocks with that, or for that, so we just start hitting them for 3 a turn with that thing. We're at 5 life, so we can afford to get hit for 2 if they do manage to Magecraft on Symmetry Sage. Yeah. Send in the Battle Seer here. Start chipping away 3 damage a turn. Just a land for them. Maybe it's time to pick up our Pillar Drop Warden and get a couple more 4/4s. Oh, we can only use the ability as a sorcery, though, so we do need 9 mana, 5, 6, 7, 8. Need 1 more mana to do that thing. Do I want to kill their flyer here? Yeah, we'll go ahead, kill their flyer instant speed. We do have the mana to make more 4/4s again now. Now we get to attack him with both of these. Pick up Elemental Masterpiece, run it back. Oh yeah, Spectacle Mage reducing those costs meant I could have done the Masterpiece last turn as well. Ooh, they do Magecraft with that Symmetry Sage. If they draw like a +2/+2 pump spell, that could close it out here. But if they don't, pretty sure we just slam in for very close to lethal next turn. Cultivator is the play. Grabbing a land from the deck. Well, they do have a lot of blockers now, so now we don't lethal for a couple turns at the very least. We'll take some time to break through their board, but not too long. We've got 1 more card in hand here. Quandrix Command. Oh dear, what is this? Pretty insane is what it is. 2 +1/+1 counters and bounce something to hand. Well, now we have to chump block the Pledge Mage. That was absolutely an insane turn from going from 0 cards in hand to multiple Magecraft triggers, bounce a creature, multiple counters on their trigger, Symmetry Sage gets to attack for 2, and they get a 3/4 chump blocker. So that was brutal. That was about as good as it possibly could have went for our opponent there, I think. Now we don't really have attacks in. I guess we get to hold on to Arcane Subtraction to shut off the Symmetry Sage, but we definitely have to exile the Pledge Mage now, which lets them draw another card, which I don't love. We're going to start scrying with our Battle Seer. Yeah, Arcane Subtraction leaves us safe enough to make this attack, I think. Shut off one of their attackers. In terms of damage dealt, Manifestation Sage, a 2/2 that makes a 1/1 here. Now the board is pretty wide, so I just can't afford to attack them with anything, and they draw into the 7/7. How did they draw 2 cards this turn? I'm really confused. They drew 2 off Eureka Moment, which turned into Quandrix Command plus Quandrix Cultivator. Oh yeah, the Introduction to Annihilation allowed them to draw a card. For a second, I was like, wait a second. How are you playing 2 spells this turn? You just had 0. But it was me. Dio all along. We'll stop that damage, because that is pretty important, and we get a fractal summoning, I guess, to make a big old blocker. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have enough to make an 8/8, which is big enough to block and kill anything they have. So we scry 1 here, get rid of any lands we might hit. Yep. And then draw. Divide by 0 makes me feel all safe and cozy, but I think we have to make a fractal summoning as big as possible here. If we want to hold up divide by 0 mana, we have to hold 3 up, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for X. So yeah, it wouldn't be big enough to beat the 7/7. I think we have to just dump it all in here. 5, 6, 7, 8. I think we might be able to do 9 with Spectacle Mage. Yep, Spectacle Mage makes it so we can do 9. Oh my god. Is that just dead? Block, block, block. That's just dead. God dang it. That was a super painful end to that game. I kept feeling like we got real close to stabilizing, but our opponent's deck is insane. Just windmill slam bombs every turn. Very, very well drafted deck. Closing out the game very handedly at the end. So that puts us at 3-2. No matter what, we are 3-3, nice average run here, so don't gotta feel too bad, but it does suck when it feels like you're always just one turn off from stabilizing. It's like, just please miss on a good draw once, and then they just have an insane deck. Sometimes your opponents are just of a different caliber, and they will demolish you. Alright. Another kind of slow hand, but as always, that's what our deck is doing here. Could even sacrifice the Elemental Masterpiece, or not sacrifice it, discard it to get the treasure token to play the Flame Painter, to maybe make the Flame Painter cheat it out a turn early. It'd be a risky play, but it would be a fun one. Yeah, if I discard this Masterpiece for a treasure token, I get to cast Flame Painter next turn, and if it hits them, we're getting 2 4/4s. Just very early. I'm going to go for it, because we can afford to lose a little bit of value here. We got multiple learn cards in hand, so if we just don't have that card in the late game anymore, that's okay. I'm going to take the shot here. Go for the absurd early game play. If it goes off, it will be beautiful. If they have any removal like a Heated Debate, I would expect to see it just right now. Nothing yet. I'll go ahead and go for the attack and see what happens. If they make the block, I will allow it. Enthusiastic Study to make that a 4-power creature. We resolve that, and then we turn off its power after it's gotten the plus, so now we just get to still beat it in combat here. And what do we want to draw here? I do only have 3 mana, so probably an Environmental Sciences is solid here. We do want to hit like 7 mana by the end of this game, so eventually we'll have 2 extra mana to just dump into that, get more lands. That seems like what we're looking for this game. So, because we're only reducing power, we don't get to kill the Stonerise Spirit there, but we do get to make sure our Flame Painter survives, which I think is important. Yeah, we definitely do need the land here. Do we just cast Environmental Sciences? We could put a creature on the board, but it wouldn't be a flying creature, so it's not all that great. They can only block with 3 toughness if we send in the Flame Painter, so we could threaten some sort of pump spell. Flame Painter doesn't do anything on blocks anyway. There's no reason not to attack with Flame Painter unless we're worried about a haste creature out of the red half of their deck. And this like threatens a pump spell if we had one. Then we could like get them there, so they might not make the block. I think we have to environmental sciences here. Get the mana set up. Definitely need to hit Pigment Storm to kill that combat professor. Or the second combat professor. Take your pick out of the two. Still 1 mana away, unfortunately. We can pop Quiz. Draws us towards the 5th mana, maybe. This is like our only option. Our only other option is to play a creature on the ground, which does nothing for us, so... Just do the best we can here, but it isn't looking great. All these lessons are just late game stuff. Nothing to deal with flyers except the introduction, so we just take that just in case. We're really just getting slammed in the sky here. Triple combat professor coming out, swinging here. Very likely to just close out this game. There's very little we could do about this. Yeah, we're mega dead. We can kill 1 flyer, but we can't put any blockers out, so we kill 1 flyer. Each combat professor hits for 3, and the Stone Rice Spirit hits for 1. That's exact lethal for the 7, completely unblockable damage. Well, rough way to end the draft, but 3-3, a nice average record. I think that this deck was potentially really sweet, but just got it handed to us by some brutally good decks. Triple combat professor there, and then of course the last Quandrix deck that we played against, just constant, just every card off the top being a very, very powerful card in the late game there. So, very solid deck, I feel, but just got destroyed by some slightly better decks. They just squeaked out those victories against us when we were trying to stabilize. I mean, the last deck, that Lorehold deck, that was not... We had no chance to stabilize. We weren't trying to get anywhere there. We were just hoping for the best off the top. So that will end today's draft video. We got 1,000 Drims, couple packs out of this. Not bad at all. See what rares we get out of here. Maybe what cool Mystical Archives cards. Definitely do not have a lot of those. Just a Negate here. And a Shine Shadow Snarl. Great card for your constructed decks. Just a good mana fixer there. And the final rare is a Rushed Rebirth. Interesting card. I don't super recommend this in Limited. Choose one of your creatures, and when it dies, you get a creature with lesser mana value from your deck into play. Like, honestly, in Limited, I feel like the common is just better, the one that gives a creature Death Touch, and then when it dies, it comes back to the field, because then you're just getting your creature out with the same mana value. You're getting the same creature back, and you're gaining life off of it, and you're letting the creature maybe trade up into something better. So this just seems like a worse version of that for Limited, because you rarely have like specific creatures that are very good, whereas that's more of a thing for Constructed. For Constructed, you could build a deck all around like a certain very powerful 2 or 3 mana creature, then you can use this so your other big creatures can turn into that whenever they die. To help with your whole deck strategy, help with your combo, all that. Definitely happens less often in Limited. But a cool card nonetheless, definitely for Constructed though, I feel. So that will end today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. And if you did, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of those good things that let the YouTube algorithm know that you're interested in the content and want to see more. So as always, at the end of the video, thank you again very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.